Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for another Wednesday weekly. I will be joined today by a few admissions officers, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, as well as a few fellow staff members within the international department. And we will be answering your questions today regarding applications, admissions, and basically anything that you might have concerns about as the situation does evolve. So I did want to speak to that a bit today and just give you an update. So of course, this is an unprecedented time for the entire world, and Lakehead University's senior management team is monitoring this situation, COVID-19, very closely, and they are making decisions and they are answering some of those important questions as they come up and as we get more details, of course, abiding by the Public Health Authority of Canada, as well as the Government of Canada and their recommendation and guidelines. So we did, in the situation that we are in, we did launch the Lakehead International Live series. So it is a daily live series where it's fun and informative way for you, a future international student, to connect with us here at Lakehead, get some answers to some of your important questions, but also just learn more about Lakehead and help you make that decision when it comes to that time. So today, like I said, the Wednesday Weekly is going to be focused on admissions and applicants. But we also can answer questions about campuses, living on campus, living off campus, any sort of questions. We have experts here today to answer your questions. So please feel free to use the Q&A function to do that. And then I can speak to some of our other events. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you actually get the opportunity to meet a current student that we have on campus. So they are held on our Instagram account. They're Instagram Lives. They're about an hour long, so it's myself and a current student, and we have a great conversation and talk about their student experience, their academic program, some advice that they might have for you future students, and plenty more. So I do encourage you to follow us on our social media and check out those Instagram Lives. On Mondays, we do something called the Monday Meetup, which is a thematic-based webinar. So we do have themes. The first one coming up on Monday is going to actually be about housing and residence. So we have our residence life team from Thunder Bay and Aurelia joining us, and we'll be chatting all about those accommodation options for you. And then on Fridays, to cap it off, to end the week nice and strong, we are doing Faculty Fridays. So this upcoming Friday, we are going to be doing a criminology webinar, so you can learn all about the criminology program. Again, though, any one of these daily live events is an opportunity for you to join us and ask your questions, whether it's related to the topic of the webinar or not. I do encourage you to join us and learn more. Otherwise, I will move on and I'll start to introduce you to some of our co-hosts here and our panelists. Things to remember during this webinar: if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A function to submit those questions to us. Then it helps us organize and keep track of all those questions as they come in, and we can answer them either live, or we have dedicated Lakehead experts behind the scene typing out some of those answers too. If you should need to email any of our admissions teams, the emails are listed on your screen right now. So undergraduate is intl.admission@lakeheadu.ca, and graduate is gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. If you do want to stay connected with us, which I of course encourage you to stay connected, get regular updates about future webinars, future events, and just get an idea about student life and the Lakehead experience, do follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. For any folks joining us in China, we also have a WeChat, a Youku, and a Weibo. I will go over some of those handles towards the end of the webinar. But please do submit those questions and follow us. You can also use any of the direct message functions on those social medias to submit your questions after the fact too, if something arises. So if you watch today's webinar and then something comes up and you remember, oh, I forgot to ask this, or oh, this has come up now, what's the answer to that? Please feel free to reach out to us at one of the many methods on the screen. There's at least 3 emails on there, plus our social medias are a great way to connect with us. Alrighty, so I'm going to check the Q&A box here and see if we have any open questions. Doesn't look like we have any questions right now, so I do encourage you, if you have any questions for us, we do have dedicated admissions officers from both undergraduate and graduate studies joining us today. So they're happy to answer questions specific to your level of study, of course, and the program of your choice. We also have the Director of International Enrollment, Robert joining us, so he can answer questions related to the current situation. If you have any concerns, we're happy to provide the most up-to-date answers. Also listed on your screen, you'll see that Lakehead has a dedicated website for the coronavirus or COVID-19. So it is lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus. We have regular updates from all of our senior management teams. So you'll see our message board where we receive updates from departments at Lakehead, the president of Lakehead, as well. There's an FAQ section. So a frequently asked questions section is dedicated for future students. So some of those really common questions that we have been receiving and we intend on receiving, at least in the future, we already have answers populated there for you, and that is being updated on a regular basis. So I do encourage you to explore that website as well. So I see a few questions coming up here. So the first question that I'm going to pass off is to Charisse, and it's regarding scholarships for master's students. This student is specifically referring to Masters of Computer Science.
So if you have funding, it would have been in your offer of admission. There are limited number of scholarships or bursaries available to international students, and most of those would come from the faculty member that you're working with. If you have questions about that, then I would encourage you to email our G student account, and we will forward those on to the graduate funding officer.
Alrighty, thank you. So I do see a question here. Hi, I would like to know if we are able to obtain a visa using the conditional offer letter in case the unconditional offer letter is delayed to release. Also, do you have any services where you can help us regarding the visa processes? So I'm going to pass this one off to Robert, who can speak to obtaining a visa. I know that he's has quite a bit of knowledge about obtaining visas for his travels as he goes around the world quite a bit for his role. And then he can also speak to some of those services that we can provide in supporting our students.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan. So yeah, so here's the thing. I mean, absolutely, the Canadian government is aware that things are different in the world right now. That there are different delays, challenges that folks are experiencing. Some visa operations, visa application centers, and such have temporarily suspended their services in some markets. So it really depends on each country and sort of the status of the pandemic in that particular part of the world. So it is really important that you stay on top of the status of the particular market that you're in. The nice thing is with the Canadian visa, you can apply online. So the application and submission of documents does happen online. Essentially the biggest piece is the collection of the biometrics information, which typically has to be done, of course, in person at a visa application center. So that is essentially delayed at this point. However, in some markets in the world, we are seeing those VACs, the visa application centers, reopen. So it really depends on your market, your particular reason. The Canadian government will consider you for a visa with a conditional offer of admission. So it doesn't, now, certainly in some markets, there is, some folks have different theories or beliefs that perhaps a unconditional offer will strengthen an application. That's up for folks to have a belief for themselves. But our experience has been that qualified students who have the necessary background presenting a conditional offer of admission to the university have been successful in obtaining a study permit. So my recommendation is that if you do not yet have an unconditional offer, but you are holding a conditional offer of admission, you absolutely can still apply for your visa without question. If you read the requirements for a Canadian study permit application, it simply asks for an offer of admission. And we've spoken with many visa officers over the years, and officially, they will look at both offers when considering an application. So they also, of course, are aware that in some cases there may be delays in receiving that unconditional offer of admission, simply because perhaps your home institution or the school that you need to get official documents, transcripts, might be delayed in sending those things. So obviously, everyone is very aware of some of the challenges that may be presented. But if you are holding a conditional offer of admission, I would still encourage you to apply for your visa and to submit those documents. Now, if you have questions relating to your visa, at Lakehead University through our International Student Services Center, we do have a visa officer advisor on campus. So her name is Jennifer Hay, and Jennifer is a qualified immigration consultant, and so she can assist with questions relating to study permit extensions. She also supports students with their applications for the postgraduate work permit, which for those of you that are just coming to the university to start, it's still too early for that, but we know that for many of you, that may be your long-term goal. So, but certainly if you have questions, you can reach out to Jennifer. It's very easy to find her contact information when you visit the Lakehead University website. You'll go to the online directory, look up Lakehead University International, and you'll find Jennifer Hay listed there. And you can certainly email her and reach out. And she has been very supportive of both current students, but also future students applying to the university. And she can give you some good advice as well. So keep in mind that the university is not directly involved with the issuing of your study permit. So a study permit is an independent application that you place with the Canadian government to seek permission. So our role is to assess you and your academic credentials to determine whether or not you are admissible to one of our academic programs. Once you receive that offer of admission, it is then up to you to apply to the Canadian government to receive permission to come and study in Canada. I'm going to go ahead and also address another question that I know that often pops up during this these types of conversations, and it does relate to sort of visas and starting. As one might expect, there may be some delays right now in terms of visas being issued. We understand that, and we expect that given everything that's going on. In order for our programs that are starting online. So for instance, this upcoming spring, the May semester, all of our courses and all of our programs will be starting online. So everything will be delivered virtually online. So you will be able to do all your classes from a distance. So you'll be able to do that from the comfort of your home. If you have not yet received a study permit, you can still start your classes online. So that is okay, you can still do that. When we do resume classes though in person, because keep in mind this is a temporary measure, in order to enter Canada, you will have to have your study permit. So I just warn you to continue with your visa application. But again, you can still start your classes even if you've not yet received that visa, the final visa just yet. So just keep that in mind, but you will ultimately have to have been approved for a study permit to be able to enter Canada later. We have people who, have expressed concerns, well, what happens if I'm online, and does that impact later on my ability for my postgraduate work permit? You're right to ask that question. It's a very good question. What the Canadian government last week reaffirmed was that an international student can complete up to 50% of their program at a distance and still be eligible for a postgraduate work permit. So if you are starting this upcoming spring and you will be online, do not worry, it's still okay to do that. Like I said, so long as your program length does not go more than half of the program online, if you're just starting off, you won't be anywhere near that, so you will be fine to do that, and the Canadian government has reaffirmed that. So we do not anticipate that by starting online in the spring that it will immediately provide have any impacts on your future eligibility for postgraduate work permits. So we just want to remind you and reassure you of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. So the next question I have is related to the fall intake. So the question is, what are the chances that fall intake students will be shifted to spring intake? So that's a great question. It's regarding fall 2020 and whether or not we will be shifting the intake date based on the current situation with coronavirus. The answer right now is it's simply too early to say. We are monitoring the situation very closely, and our senior management team is abiding by all of the best recommendations from the Government of Canada and the public health authorities. And we're also working very closely with within our organization and institution with the deans and the chairs and faculty members to ensure that we have plans and procedures in place. If anything is to happen with the fall 2020 intake date, you as an applicant will be informed, and that's only an if. So please take these words as I'm only advising you that it's simply too early to answer that question definitively. Those answers will be coming out in the future once we do know more about the situation. But rest assured that if you have applied to Lakehead and we have your email address, you will be informed directly by us. So there shouldn't be any concerns as to you being left in the dark and not knowing as to what that answer is going to be.
And Jordan, I'll just jump in and just add. So the key thing to know is there will be a fall start, absolutely. So the university continues to operate. You know, even when we moved this past semester, as many institutions did around the world, we moved to an online alternate mode of delivery. All of our students were able to successfully complete their courses. They are currently completing their examinations and final assignments from a distance. And in fact, it's going quite well. You know, reports from both students and our faculty have been quite positive about this transition. You know, as a university, we offer obviously a lot of our courses and programs in person, the majority, but we have a large contingent of courses that are delivered already at a distance. So this is not a new thing, at least not for Lakehead University. And so a lot of our professors and such are actually quite experienced in providing a very enriched and quality online learning experience. And so that's why we are very confident with the spring start for those of you that are starting in May of 2020. And for those of you looking ahead to the fall of 2020, as Jordan said, we still don't yet have a clear answer regarding whether or not that will be in person or online at a distance, but we are watching the situation as it evolves. That will all be governed ultimately by the public health authorities in Canada, right? We need to, no matter what, at the end of the day, the most important thing is everyone's health and well-being. But the university is open, the university is operational, courses and classes and programs will open and will continue. It's just a question of in what format will they take place. So more to come on that in the coming weeks. But like I said, we will definitely keep you informed. And as soon as we know anything, the university has been very proactive in getting that information out. We'll not only inform you and advise you, but also updates will be happening to the coronavirus update page on the main website as well. So always keep checking out that page as well for additional updates, and follow our social pages if you're not already doing it, because that's another way to get the latest updates from us as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. So the next question I have is for graduate studies. And the question is, when will acceptance letters be available for the Masters of Health Sciences?
Hi there. So those offers are starting to go out now. And what will happen is they'll make their first round of offers. Those offers will have either 3 or 6 weeks to respond, depending on if they're domestic or international. Once they receive those responses back, they will then make a new round of offers based on how many people did not accept that offer. So it's done on a rolling basis. That will keep happening until they have the required, however many people they're going to admit. They don't tell us that number. That's a decision that's up to them. So what I can say is continue to monitor your My Info account. That's where the status will change as soon as a decision is made.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the next question is actually from a student with regards to housing. The question is, I am currently a student on a gap year and I have never attended university or been away from home for a long period of time. I would like to apply for residence halls, but I am an international student who graduated last year, and the online form has given me the options for apartment or townhouses. So directly to that student, I do encourage you to reach out to us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. And provide us with those exact same details, and we'd be happy to connect you with the residence team so that they can work through that process to ensure that you do have the residence halls as an option when you do apply for housing. For students that have questions about housing, I also encourage you to join us next Monday for an upcoming Monday meetup where we will have our residence life team in both Thunder Bay and Aurelia join us, and we'll be chatting about those options. And that can also help you determine as to which on-campus option is going to be best for you based on maybe your budgetary constraints, but also your your typical living environment and what that experience looks like, and the amenities that are offered on either campus. So again, that is going to be on Monday, this upcoming Monday, and we are live at 10 a.m. Thunder Bay time. So of course, depending on where you are around the world, that will change. So I do encourage you to follow us on our social medias for those regular updates and to view those registration links. As well, I'm sure as you've already experienced, you've been receiving email invites from us for the upcoming week as well. At the bottom of that email, you'll see all of our previous recordings from that following week. Please use those as well if you are inclined to do that. So the next question I have here is, I have paid my confirmation deposit. Should I pay my tuition deposit now, or should I wait for the pandemic to end? Are banks or other services open for that? So I will pass it off to Robert to speak to paying the confirmation deposit and then also paying tuition fees and confirming that.
Thanks, Jordan. So, I mean, here's our recommendation. At the end of the day, as I mentioned previously, we will have a fall semester. So the question is more around whether or not that would be in person or online. These are the things that are being worked on and looked at. And we will, of course, act based on the recommendations of the Canadian Public Health Authority as those decisions are being made. In terms of my best advice to applicants is to continue with the process. If you have decided that Lakehead University is your destination, we are your school, your program, then absolutely I would encourage you to continue with the process. You will be able to start your program, you will be able to start your classes. They just may be delivered in an alternate format. Any monies that are paid to the university are placed into your student account. And so if for some reason you are not able to start in the fall, or something happens, things change, perhaps you have to start on a different semester, we would simply transfer and apply those funds into that future start date. So you do not have to worry. When you pay deposits, when you pay these things, they go into the account, they are attached to you, and they are your monies essentially available within there. If for whatever reason you are not able to start your program, you are not able to attend the university in the end, given the nature of the situation, the university has provided assurances that any deposits that have been paid would be eligible for refund if you are not able to ultimately attend due to COVID-19. And so with that assurance, you should feel confident that it is absolutely the right thing to continue to pay the deposits, pay your tuition as you normally would, to prepare to start your program in the fall. And again, we encourage you to continue to do that with the assurance that if something happens, if for some reason due to COVID-19, you are not able to attend the institution, you are protected, your funds are protected, and you would be eligible to either defer and start at another date, a later date, and those funds would transfer or roll into that future start, or could be eligible for a refund as well, again, if you're not able to start. So with that in mind, knowing, my advice would be that with those assurances, knowing that you're protected, that, we want to always sort of move forward with an aspiration that we know that things are going to get better, we know that things are going to improve, and we know that we will get back to class, as it were. We're just facing a challenging time right now, we know, for so many, with a lot of uncertainties, and so we obviously understand that. But the university is doing everything it can to modify those deposit restrictions and sort of requirements and rules, again, to be able to be refunded in the case that you cannot attend due to COVID-19, or to also be more flexible in terms of looking at alternate start dates if for some reason there is a delay as well. So Lakehead is here to support you, and that's the most important thing for you to remember, and we will do everything we can to help you through this this time. So again, the advice would be absolutely continue with the process, continue with your deposits, your tuition payments as you normally would. We will be starting in the fall. In what format, that is still to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. And also to address the are banks and other services open for that? That obviously is very specific to the region of the world or the country that you are coming from. But we do have a dedicated international accounts officer who is on the Lakehead team that is there to assist you. So if you email us or explore our website, our email is welcome@lakeheadu.ca, and we can connect you directly with him. His name is Chris Gallinger, and he can actually help you with that process in securing those payments. So there's several different options. We understand that some of the more traditional ones that would involve that in-person interaction in your home country are not accessible right now. But there are several options to make those payments. So I do encourage you to connect directly with us if you are having any difficulties. We're happy to be there and assist you through that process. So I do have a question for Charisse. It is a question regarding a conditional offer of admission for the Masters of Electrical and Computer Engineering. They have received that condition, but the conditions within the offer are that we must receive original transcripts and degrees before we can provide an unconditional offer. So Sharish, could you please speak to how we are working with each student and each applicant to secure those final official documents and kind of the procedures and processes in place right now?
Hi there. So what we're going to be doing is typically we would prefer to have those documents before you arrive. If that is not possible due to restrictions in your geographic location, then we would just have you bring the official documents with you when you come to Thunder Bay. You would then have to bring them to us in the Graduate Studies office. We would verify them, and then we would allow you to register at that point. Typically, until we have those official documents, we do not lift the restrictions that are preventing you from registering. I'm not sure if things will be looking differently the closer we get to that, and I think it's just a wait and see at this point. If you've got your own official documents, you may be able to take those and get them notarized or attested and then have them sent in. Sometimes that is something that international students have to do because they may only get one copy of their documents and there isn't another copy. So if you have a specific question about your case, you can email us at gstudent and we would respond to you privately in that way.
Awesome, thank you so much. So this next question is actually for both undergrad and grad studies. I'll have Natalie answer it first, but the question is deadlines for acceptance fees going to be postponed? So that's referring, I'm assuming, to the confirmation deposits and what deadlines are out there right now. I do know that both undergrad and grad are flexible in some cases, and they've already changed some of those dates, but I'll let both of them speak to those on their end.
Thanks, Jordan. Hi, Isaac. This is Natalie from undergraduate admissions, and we do continue to be flexible with the deadline dates listed on your letter of acceptance. For our limited enrollment programs like our nursing and our 2-year Bachelor of Education program, those deadline dates are a little bit more firm. However, if you do have a specific date that you cannot meet those deadlines for, then we would just ask that you send us an email explaining the situation, and we will definitely work with you. However, for the programs that are not limited enrollment, we will absolutely be flexible with the acceptance deadline as well as the confirmation deposit deadline.
As far as graduate studies goes, to dovetail with what Natalie said, in some of the limited enrollment programs, it's really important that you get your deposit in, and that is because once we receive that, the status of your application changes to confirmed with deposit, and that's what the programs are looking for to see who is actually coming. Certain programs with limited enrollment will expire offers, and so I think I can commit to what Robert has said before. If you make a deposit and for some reason you can't get here due to COVID-19 or a visa is not allowed, then of course we would be able to refund that based on certain requirements. If Robert wants to speak more to that, that'd be great. But I think that if you can accept the deadline, okay, Graduate Studies, I believe, has said May 29th is the date that we're extending it to. However, the main thing is that you let us know you're coming. If you can't make the payment right away, we can code your offer as being accepted without deposit, and you would need to let us know when that deposit would come.
Yeah, Cherise. So thanks for bringing me into that, and I think that that's a really important thing. I mean, when we talk about flexibility, flexibility is not necessarily about indecisiveness in terms of choosing which institution you want to attend. Flexibility is around perhaps there's a barrier or something that is preventing you from making the financial deposit at this point, to access to banks, things of that nature. And in those cases, absolutely, you know, if you reach out to Lakehead, to either our undergraduate or graduate office, let us know that, hey, I really want that offer. I want that seat. I want to come and study at Lakehead, but these are the challenges I'm facing. We can absolutely be flexible with that. But my strong encouragement is that if you have an offer, if you have an expiry date, that you do need to let us know what your status is, what is happening. Are you intending to come to the institution? Number one, part of it is that we have other students who may be sitting there waiting to hear from Lakehead. You'll see some of the questions will come going, I'm anxiously awaiting to hear from Lakehead. So the university, you know, at a certain point will have to make the decision, if an offer has expired, to perhaps consider another candidate for that spot who is willing to commit and willing to take that. So again, we have made the accommodation to provide flexibility and to provide you with assurances that, you know, if life changes, deposits can be refunded, things of that nature. So therefore, we've removed the barrier for you in terms of, you know, just feeling like life is too uncertain to know if you should put money on the table, you know, to secure your spot. My message at this stage of the game is you need to secure your spot. If you intend to study this fall, you need to let the university know, because number one, it ensures that you have that spot and you secure it, but it also ensures that the university can properly plan, because based on numbers and based on the number of students that are coming, you know, a lot of decisions start to get made around our faculty and the number of courses being offered. And, you know, if we don't hear from students to say, yes, I'm coming, I want to study, you know, this wonderful program at Lakehead, then sometimes decisions will start to be made behind the scenes that down the road, you know, may impact some of the options that you have as a student. So again, we've created this opportunity, this flexibility at this stage of the game, that you are assured that your finances are protected, your deposits are protected. So if you know that Lakehead is the right choice for you, we want to encourage you to accept that offer, pay that deposit, and that way then we can all move forward, both you and the university, confidently knowing who is intending to start their courses this fall, and we can make sure that we can provide you with the best experience possible at the end of the day. But like I said, like my colleagues have already stated, if you are facing any challenges, again, financial, whatever it might be, reach out to us directly. We want to work with you one-on-one to address your individual concerns, questions, and we can certainly provide you with that support through there as well.
Thank you so much, Robert, Natalie, and Charisse. That was a very good answer to what seems like a common question and a common concern for students. So thank you for answering that. The next question I have is from a student that would like to know more about the final fee structure for fall 2020. So the exact question is, when can I get the final fee structure for Masters in Computer Science project fall 2020? So to speak to that, we actually have been working with our financial services team here at Lakehead to get more information about when those fees will be released. So as per any other year, those fees typically are released in spring. So that is upcoming. We have posed that question to them, and they did get back to us that they are hoping to have those fees released within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So you would be looking into roughly May when those fees are released for the fall 2020/2021 academic year. Of course, any of those updates will be posted on our social media channels, As well, if you monitor our website, those updates will come through for you too. So if you do have any questions, of course, you can email us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca and we can help you with that. If you are looking to get a better idea of what fees are going to be, we can help you with an estimate. So we do use the previous academic year's schedule of fees to make that estimate. Of course, there are changes year by year. So that's always something that we like to note, and we want to encourage students to take into account that there may be slight changes to the fee structure each year. But again, to reiterate, those fees are we do hope to have those released within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So that would be in May. And we will have updates on our social media as well as on our website for when those come out. So please do monitor on a regular basis our channels. So this question is another general question that I'll pass off to Natalie first and then have Charisse follow up. What will my application progress be affected because of the pandemic? So I know it's a pretty broad question, but could both of you speak to maybe some of the procedures that we've already put into place on our enrollment side to ensure that any of those any of that progression and any of those final steps to securing that offer we've already put into place for these students?
Hi, Neha. Thank you so much for the question. Undergraduate admissions does remain fully functional. We are working from home, but we are still processing applications as we would if we were on campus. If you've applied for an undergraduate program and have not provided us with your documents, I would encourage you to upload those to your MyInfo account using the document uploads function on the applicant tab. Once you have uploaded your documents, we'll receive notification that you've uploaded your documents and we will have your application assessed. We are assessing applications on a rolling basis, and so you should receive an admission decision within about 3 to 5 business days. However, if you have applied for a program like nursing, or in some rare cases, an application to engineering may need to go to the faculty. However, most programs will receive a decision fairly quick from undergraduate admissions. So if you are waiting on a decision and it has been more than 1 week, I would encourage you to send us an email at intl.admission@lakeheadu.ca. And Jordan has that up on the slide. However, undergraduate admissions has not, decisions are still going out and your application will not be affected because of COVID-19.
And also to follow up to that, thank you so much for clarifying some of the dates and time ranges that students can expect to receive that offer. To clarify, of course, that's only when we have received full documentation and full application. So in some cases, students will simply apply and submit only 1 or 2 documents, where in some cases we'll need upwards of 3 or 4, if not more. And then they're waiting for a decision, but we can't make that decision unless we have that full academic background. So if in any cases you're still waiting to hear back from us, like Natalie said, please reach out to us directly at intl.admission@lakeheadu. And we can work with you on an individual basis to see and review what documents we do require to finish your application and then start reviewing it for the admission procedure.
Yeah, Jordan, and I'll just clarify too, if your application if your undergraduate application is incomplete, you've uploaded documents and a decision isn't made, we always do send an email letting you know what documents are missing. So for example, let's say you've uploaded documents and you've only uploaded, let's say, your IELTS or your English proficiency results, we always do send an email letting you know that we've reviewed the uploaded documents. However, we mention the documents that are missing and the documents required to make an admission decision.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying. And now I'll pass it off to Charisse.
Hi there. So the graduate process is a bit different than undergraduate. Things still are moving along in the same way. However, they're a little bit slower because we've had to restructure how we work from home, how we receive those documents, and how we code the offers. So it's taking a little bit longer, and I noticed that one of the questions somebody had asked was, I've been notified I'm going to get an offer, but I haven't received it yet. So that's probably because we get a certain piece of information, we have to do a few processes, and then the long weekend came, and then the next step has to happen. So if somebody has said you'll be getting an offer, then just keep watching your email, because that's where it will go to. For those of you who are still in progress, waiting to find out if you're being admitted, at the graduate level, it's not our office that's making the decisions, it's the graduate programs themselves. And so each graduate program has a different process. Some may have a grad coordinator who is the one who can make those decisions. Some programs have to take it to a selection committee. Some programs won't review it until you have all the pieces of the application uploaded. They don't have to be official documents, they just have to be the documents that you have in your possession and uploaded. So every program is different. There's no, I can't say it takes a week. Maybe in some cases it takes a week, in other cases it could take 5. And it's all basically, up to how the information is accepted by the program, how they review it, how they then respond to graduate studies with their offer of admission, because they are now having to do a different process as well. And they're not all, they don't all have scanners at home, they don't have Adobe Acrobat where they can sign forms. And so everybody's kind of in a learning process right now. And so I'm apologizing because it is taking a little longer than usual, but we're doing our best to get these offers out and decisions made quickly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charisse. So the next question we have here, one of the last few. So just to note, we do have 10 minutes left with the webinar. So if you do have any outstanding questions, please submit those as soon as possible. At a certain point, if we do have too many questions, of course, we won't be able to extend it past 11 and we'll have to cut them off. But if you have any questions now, please, I do encourage you to join us and submit those questions as soon as possible. So the question we have open currently is, what will the consequences of this pandemic on the visa be? Will there be any changes? So I will let Robert speak to the visa process again.
Thanks, Jordan. So, it's really unclear right now in terms of what the final impacts will be. As you can expect, as the pandemic has moved around the world, things have shifted based on each country and each region's sort of status in the pandemic. So we saw obviously immediate impacts throughout China and many of the Asian markets as the pandemic started and then commenced spreading around globally. That meant that visa offices closed quite quickly in those regions. And then subsequently, as it spread throughout the world, we've seen operations, the visa application centers close as well. However, what we also have seen in the last 2 weeks is that visa offices have started to reopen in China. And so while other areas may be recently closed or have closed, in some areas who have been closed for longer, they are now starting to reopen. So that is giving us great confidence that as the pandemic goes through its natural cycle and as there is recovery happening, that we will be able to go ahead and get those visa applications moving again. The visa application itself has never closed. It's, of course, available online. The issue has really been around the collection of biometrics and submission of some medical documents, in terms of the process for the pieces. So while there may be delays, the issuing of visas will continue, and the Canadian government is, of course, being responsive to the various markets and regions of the world based on the current status of the pandemic. In terms of changes, we've not been informed of any immediate changes in terms of the visa process. So it's just simply a matter of it maybe taking a bit more time to be able to complete all of the necessary documents and steps that are required. So, our advice to you as an institution is to continue with your visa process, submit your application, Start to submit the documents that you have, and as you are able to complete your biometrics, complete your medical exam, things of those nature, that you are getting those things done when you can. And of course, the Canadian government realizes that there may be delays on that. So they don't necessarily publish sort of anything official when it comes to that, but we just have been assured that that obviously they are aware. They themselves, as a government, are facing the challenges relating to COVID-19, both overseas as well as here within the country, and so they are being responsive. But as far as we're concerned, processes are still happening. It's just maybe taking a little bit longer. So continue with your application, monitor the situation, and watch the Canadian government website online that will have information for you, updates about the status of the VAC offices, the visa application centers, and any additional updates will come through there as well.
Thank you so much. So we do have another open question here. It's a great question. What is the average pay for graduate students from the Masters in Computer Science project? So to speak to that, of course, although I would love to give you an exact number and answer that question right now, the truth of the matter is that with any program, with any degree that you do receive, pay when you do get a career can vary based on your experience, based on what career path you've chosen, based on the level of study you've completed. So there's so many factors that come into play for employers when they decide how much you are going to make. So for that student, I do encourage you to explore. If you just do a quick search online for some of the average pays within Ontario as well Canada for a job title that you are familiar with and that you are confident that is what you are interested in pursuing, that then you can learn more about sort of the averages that we do have within Canada. That's specific again to the career path that you're going to choose. So use that terminology. So say, for example, if you envision that you're going to be a data analyst within computer science, look online to see what a data analyst makes within Canada and in Ontario. Speaking to that question though, what's something that we are really proud of here at Lakehead is the fact that 100% of our graduates within the computer science program are employed within 2 years of graduation. So that's something that we're super proud to share because it speaks to the education that we're providing to our students, as well as the connections and the fact that our employers within Thunder Bay, within Aurelia, within all around the world basically are recognizing our degree and the standards that we hold our education to. And then also just speaking to other programs at Lakehead, Lakehead's current graduation employment rate. So that employment rate within 2 years of graduating is actually above the provincial standard. So it's at 94% right now. And the provincial standard is in the low 90s. And it's also above the national standard for university graduates. So that's something to keep in mind when you are evaluating, of course, your school of choice to see how successful our graduates are after completing their degree, whether it be an undergrad or a grad level. So I do see a few more questions, just noting the time. We will take these last couple of questions here and then we'll do our nice little wrap up. And hopefully we'll see you at one of our future events too. So the question is, will it take longer than 5 weeks for graduate applications to be reviewed? So I will pass it off to Charisse to answer that.
Hi there. So it depends on what program you've applied to. It depends on if you've provided all the supporting documents that the department is requesting. So let's say, for instance, computer science. If you have uploaded your transcript, your proof of degree, your proof of English, but you have not uploaded your computer science background form, they will not look at the application. They only allow me to release their applications once a week. And so if you don't make the Friday cutoff, then you're going to wait another week. So yeah, it could take 5 weeks if you don't have everything uploaded that's required. If you do have everything uploaded that's required, then I would ask you to email me at cclark5@lakeheadu.ca, and I'll put that on the slide. And I can look into it to see and check with the program. You didn't mention which program you applied to, but you can do that when you email me.
Awesome, thank you so much. So the next question we have here is, may I know the tuition deposit for second year of the master's of computer science project-based? Is it the same as the first year? So that's a great question. Typically, the structure of our fees is that the first year tuition does vary based on what program you're taking, of course, and then moving into that second, third, and fourth year, depending on what level of study you're at, you can anticipate that it's going to be quite similar to what you paid in your first year. But again, that does fluctuate. So what I do encourage that student specifically is to reach out to us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca and pose that exact same question, and we can confirm the current fee structure for the 2019-2020 academic year. Like I said previously in the webinar, though, the fall 2020 and 2021 academic schedule of fees has not been released, but we do anticipate that that will be coming out in the next 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully, which is going to be in May. And those updates will be on our social media as well as posted on our website. And the last question that we have here today, which one is better, which campus is better, Thunder Bay or Orillia, regarding the computer science program? So that's a great question. I do want to speak to this a little more in detail, only because computer science is offered at both our Thunder Bay campus as well as through our partnership with Lakehead Georgian. So Georgian College is in Barrie, and they are partnered directly with Lakehead University and our Orillia campus specifically. So if you are looking to complete a graduate level computer science, you can complete that on our Thunder Bay campus. If you are looking to complete an undergraduate computer science degree, that's something that I would encourage you to explore. So there's the option to complete that in Thunder Bay solely through Lakehead University, but we also have the option to complete that through our partnership with Georgian College. So with that partnership, you do complete 2 years at Georgian College Barrie, and then your final 2 years are at Lakehead University on our Orillia campus. At the end of those 4 years, you do receive both your degree from Lakehead University and your diploma from Georgian College. So those options are open to you. So if you are interested and you would like to learn more about those options, I do encourage you, of course, to explore our website, lakeheadu.ca/international, learn more about those options. If you would like to even schedule or meet with one of our recruitment advisors based on your region, you can also email us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca. We are currently launching and looking into those meetings with students to aid our inability to be in person at some of our more traditional events where we are meeting students face to face and speaking to those answers. We have set up quite a few virtual events now where we are answering questions, and you can meet one-on-one with our international recruitment advisors. So again, for that student, please reach out to us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca and we can connect you with the proper recruiter based on the region of the world that you come from. So I see the last question there for that student. I do encourage you to email us at welcome@lakeheadu. Unfortunately, we don't have time to get to it today, but I do want to wrap up and thank everyone for joining us. I do encourage you once again to follow us on our social media. We have a Facebook page, Lakehead University International. Within that Facebook page, we also have a group which is the incoming class of 2020 group. So we have over 150 future students on that group already, and it's growing every day. I manage that group and I accept students into that group on a daily basis. So I love seeing students join there and grow that page and grow that group because there's already great conversations happening. People are making connections with their fellow students within the same city, within the same country. They're already making plans for what their housing arrangements might look like when they get to campus, and they're helping each other too. There's plenty of peer support within that group. So again, I do encourage you to follow us and like our page on Facebook, and then also join that Facebook group, incoming class of 2020 for Lakehead University. We do have an Instagram channel, which is Lakehead International, where we do host Instagram Lives every Tuesday and Thursday, where you get to meet a current student in a different program, at a different level of study from a different part of the world. We're trying to get a lot of coverage to give you a good idea of that student experience and to hear from a wide range of students. So I do, again, encourage you to follow us on there, just also for regular updates and getting that sneak peek into Lakehead's student life. Lastly, we do have a Twitter, Lakehead INTL, and then we have a YouTube channel, Lakehead University. And within the YouTube channel, we have a few playlists dedicated to our international audience. So Lakehead International Live is where all of our recordings go for these webinars. So if you've missed our previous over the last few weeks, please visit our YouTube channel to see those recordings. If you have any comments or questions, please do so on that channel and we'll get back to you. We are monitoring those updates. As well, if you are looking to just get a better idea of Lakehead, hear about the experience from student testimonials, you learn about Thunder Bay, learn about Aurelia. There's plenty of videos on our international playlist as well. The last thing to wrap up today's webinar is, of course, we understand visiting campus is not possible right now, but getting that virtual tour and getting to see the facilities and the surrounding areas is really important. So if you take our virtual campus tour, all you have to do is visit us at lakeheadu.ca/tours, and our virtual tour is right there and accessible. So you can get to see Lakehead from the comfort of your own home, whether you're laying in bed, sitting on the couch, doing whatever, please give us that virtual tour and explore options. So I'll take this opportunity to thank once again my panelists and co-hosts here for joining in and answering all those key questions today. For those of you who are looking to connect with us again, tomorrow we'll be live on Instagram at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or Thunder Bay time. And we will be interviewing a student from Iran who is in business. So her name is Kiana, and I do encourage you to join us tomorrow for that. Alrighty, cheers for now. Thanks again for joining us.